mission is to promote strategies and policies which ensure improved health for all citizens of Nowata County. Well, hey, Nowata County. It is Friday, July 8th, and I am Trista with Nowata Can, and I'm here talking to Marcus and Misty about...
I'm Marcus.
Yeah,
that's Misty.
In case you were confused. About the TSET Healthy Living Program
Here in Nowata.
grant here in Nowata. I need to be clear, though. So TSET, like the actual TSET in Oklahoma City.
The big TSET.
The big TSET. We are not like spokesmen for them. We're not. This isn't the actual TSET official podcast, but right. This is just our podcast. But if you are interested in the TSET's podcast, they do have a pretty cool one, and it is tset.ok.gov / not backslash,
right.
podcast.
/ is the one that leans forward.
Yeah.
We had a conversation about that.
Yeah. So just to be clear, we are not like the official, but
we're still cool though.
Yeah, completely.
We're still cool.
So
hey, we are on the front page of the website.
That's
we
true.
Are. Ooh,
we
I
are. Yeah. If you get on the TSET website, we are on the front page of that on the.
I'm gonna look that up while we're talking and show them.
Show them.
Because that's pretty legit.
I got in trouble for being on my phone earlier, but here we go.
Here's Marcus on his phone. Jeez.
We didn't keep that take.
Double standards.
Dang it.
But yeah, we're on that website, and that was the day they did the big, like featuring our farmers market and stuff.
Right.
And,
yeah.
Yeah, the kind of documentary interview. It was pretty cool. So anyway, so you hear us throwing around all these acronyms all the time, and so you hear TSET and you hear HLP. So Marcus,
I'm listening. I'm with you.
Or Misty.
I'm multitasking.
If Misty would like to tell us exactly what TSET and HLP stand for, so that when we talk about it, people won't be like, "What?"
I will, because he's not a good multitasker.
I am a good multitasker.
So TSET stands for Tobacco Settlement Endowment Trust, and HLP stands for Healthy Living Program.
Okay.
And I think that's the crux of, that's part of the reason for the podcast, because there's a lot of misunderstandings of what TSET is. And somebody, in the community may go, "Oh, what are you up to now?" And I literally just was visiting with a buddy of mine's dad over at Wise Beans, and he's like, "What are you up to nowadays?" And I said, "Well, I work on the TSET grant over at Know What I Can." And really, I should be saying Healthy Living Program, HLP, which it's part of the big TSET umbrella. And then underneath that are basically two, there's other things that TSET does, but there's basically two branches underneath that. There's the incentive grant side, and then there's the Healthy Living Program. And that's where Misty and I come in on the local level, working on the three things. On the spot.
Tobacco cessation, nutrition, and physical activity.
I caught her a while ago. She wasn't sure what I was asking.
So Nowata County has the HLP, the Healthy Living Program grant. How many other counties in the state have that same grant?
Oh,
do you remember?
Something like that.
Sorry, it's not quite 77, but they're
that was
pretty close.
Just right here. 35 organizations in 37 counties,
which is pretty awesome.
Yeah.
The TSET Healthy Living Program serves a good portion of Oklahoma. So, anyway.
Real quick, I'm gonna go ahead and show you this. This is.
Yeah, check us out. Oh, that's back when I had long hair.
Yeah,
short hair. Sorry, I have long hair. It's
long is when it's long. And James, right there, that's our friend James Tyree. He's our communications guy.
Yep.
So that's whenever we did the thing Trista was talking about. They had a film crew come down from Oklahoma City, and they had a drone, and they came and looked at the garden, and we had Boys and Girls Club out there. Yeah. And some of the kids from the Boys and Girls Club made the big the big website and the video and everything like that. So TSET, that Healthy Living Program, I'm going to read this real quick because it's just easier to read it off. TSET Healthy Living Program grants are designed to prevent cancer and cardiovascular disease by preventing and reducing tobacco use and obesity on a local level. So between the tobacco cessation, the nutrition, and the physical activity elements, those all three are the main contributors to cardiovascular disease, preventable diseases here in Oklahoma. And we're pretty stinking high on the list, low on the list, however you want to look at it, in our health factors.
Specifically our county, right?
Yeah, and our county is pretty low in Oklahoma as well. And that's why we do part of the things that we do out in the community, like the community garden, the garden market, the Scissor Tail Walking Trail, and other trails that we're eventually going to expand into. I would love to talk trails. There may be a whole podcast on trails.
We might have to do that.
Yeah. We haven't followed through with advancing the Scissor Tail Trail that we do have recognized as of right now, because we've been collecting data through this HLP 2.0, which me, Trista, and Misty wrote for our 5-year continuation. In the last year was the first year of it, and we spent a lot of time collecting quantitative and qualitative data. And quantitative data is like quantifiable things, numbers, percentages. What percentage of Noah County smokes or has a job that is sedentary? Is it sedentary?
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
Where you sit
well,
a lot
and so
in front
like
of a
lot
computer?
of the data that we use to write for this continuation, this 2.0 grant, came from the first 5-year cycle that we did with the TSET grant. So we've already had it for 5 years. Now we're in what they call the continuation, which is the second 5 years of the TSET grant. So the Healthy Living Program grant.
Yep.
So anyway, blah blah blah, lots of grant.
That's one
jargon.
side of it.
Yeah. So would you like to explain, because I think that we have a lot of confusion around what we do, like how come we're not cutting everybody a check if we have all this grant money?
Right.
I think we need to explain like what our Healthy Living side does, Healthy Living program side does, and the incentive grant side. Like, how is that related?
So this is another thing that I will probably try to be more intentional about whenever I'm out in conversations in the community. I focus on the HLP side, which is my job, but also with TSET, there is another side, the incentive grant sides. And the incentive grants are open to communities and schools. And to acquire these grants, I forget what the schools awarded each year. It seems like Nowata Oklahoma Union and South Coffeyville.
Wasn't it 17,000?
I think we're
somewhere in that
county.
The last
All
time
three
the
of our
school-
schools have been awarded around 17,000 total
Each time.
Yeah, so far. So
And they apply for it every year. They're
they
used
do.
to it.
Yep.
They have all of the policies in place. They have all the signage up. They have all the nutritional standards. They in their policy, the wellness policy, the kids have to be available or able to go out and exercise like an hour and a half a day.
Yeah.
I forget the exact numbers. I can get those for you, but
those
that's essentially the way it
policies,
works.
Like the example of those policies,
Right.
The Healthy Living program that you and Misty work on,
Right.
are those examples were given to the schools to use and come up with their own that had the same, not the exact same wording, but tailored it to them, but with certain pieces of that policy in order to make them eligible to apply for that incentive grant. And they had to apply for the incentive grant. Not
we
know
can
what it
assist them,
Yes.
but we cannot
Yep.
do the actual grant paperwork for them.
So our day to day, in the first HLP 1, we're in HLP 2. We're 1 year into it gathering this data, but in HLP 1, we went out and did what are called PPTs. And PPT is you look at the schools or the work sites or the congregation or the city hall or food pantries or whatever it may be. And we look at their health and wellness policy if they're willing to engage with us. And we go, if you would adopt this or have this verbiage in here, we don't have a lot of incentives other than this is what is best for you and your health. I mean, how many times have we heard we need to eat better or we need to get out and walk more? That's Misty and I's job really, is to convince people to do things that they know they probably should do. And it's not as easy as it sounds. But if they have a healthier workforce, they're more productive. Theoretically, insurance costs could go down, providing free water and allowing an employee to go walk around the block or use one of our walking trails for 15 minutes. I know my energy levels are a lot better because we go on walks on a regular basis, and that's part of our job. We go scouting and see where the best places are around town that are easy enough to go walk in a possible walking trail and all that kind of stuff. But anyways, we talked to them about how to improve their policy, and then the PPT basically gives it a grade and says, "Oh, you're a model policy," which is really hard to do. I mean, you have to be a perfect individual, and nobody's asking anybody to not have a donut every once in a while. But through those policy improvements, then they go apply for the incentive grants themselves, whether it be the school or the community, and lo and behold, the work that Misty and I were doing before has those policies in place, and their policy or their policies are strong enough to be awarded those incentive grants. And I know on the community grant side that if their policies aren't all the way strong enough, they can still get part of that $36,000.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's not.
And then the next year they can apply for it again and get the other up to 36,000.
Up to, yeah.
Right.
And I mean, a lot of times, yeah, unless you have like model policies straight across the board, then yeah, $36,000 is pretty easy to get. But yeah, even if you have a few that are they scored better than others, you can get a portion of that 36,000. So.
Right. And let's be honest, a model policy
that's hard.
That's not bringing a donut in the door every once in a while. That's
I mean, yeah. Oof. And we're not fun haters. We just care about everybody in our community, and we want Nowata County to be healthier, and we want to help in that. So yeah, have a donut every once in a while. I mean, Dustin, he has some good stuff over there. You know?
That's if that's clear as mud. I mean, that's how we can help people, communities or schools get the incentive grant money. But again, that's not Misty and I's day to day.
That's what the misconception. We don't even see the incentive grant checks. They come from somewhere else, from Oklahoma City. We don't have anything to do with that money, basically. And I think that's what a lot of people are confused about. Is they think, oh, well, they can just go write a check and. No, we can't. It's not how that works. We have to get approval from Oklahoma City, and we have a budget we follow. And
grants are complicated.
For sure.
Misty and I learned real quick of how complicated they are.
And I think maybe this is a good point to make too. We're right at that spot. We're always Nowata Can is always open. Anybody coming in, if anyone has a question about any of the 3 grants that we work on, we are happy to answer questions. Come in and talk to us. And see what our grants address, like the programming we can do with our grants, because chances are good we can fit whatever you want to do in with what we're doing.
For example, we'll just make this, and we'll piggyback off of the success of the beautification committee.
Oh, yeah.
Part of where that started is we had a local business guy, Dustin Pratt. I mean, I've out of respect for him, I haven't been telling people this, but at this point, I think he deserves it, and I think he's okay with it. But Dustin Pratt donated $500 matching with sponsorship money that TSET got like a year and a half ago, and that's whenever we started doing the murals around town.
Yep.
The first 4 or 5 murals or something like that down Mural Alley down here between Sweet Peas and the Opry, that all started with a donation from Dustin Pratt, $500, and then Brenda Yersa and myself and Trista, we went and prepped these walls and got the murals started. And then lo and behold, look at this. Now the beautification committee's got together and we know what they're doing. I forget how many she said the other day how many murals they have. It's over 30 now.
It was a lot.
Yeah, and there's more to come. And then they painted crosswalks and all this stuff. So the reason I tell this story is because that's kind of how these grants are supposed to work. A lot of people have a misconception. Grant money is just free money, and there's things that advertise. We couldn't even get
the sponsorship without Dustin matching.
Right, and it's got to be the matching part. So the general consensus is that a grant is free money, but there's a lot of work that goes into getting it in the first place and maintaining it and all this other stuff.
We have budgets and audits, and we have we have bosses, and we have program officers.
Every year there's an audit. Every nickel's accounted for.
So basically, our grants help start the change that we want to see in Nowata County, and it's just a matter of, like getting people who are interested in that
finding the
particular
community
program.
champions.
Yeah.
That's what we call it, is finding the community champions.
Think of the word. It's
my mommy's a community champion.
She is.
Sam Wisely's a community champion.
Who else?
We could keep going, and I'll leave somebody out.
Yeah,
and it's the whole beautification committee of community champions.
Right, but that's the whole thing. These grants start the change, and then it's up to our community members to carry on and make it a sustainable thing. A grant money is never intended to be is never intended to
it's
fund
not the
a
savior
sustainable
right.
program. Is to start something.
I think of it as we're the flint and steel.
Yeah.
And we go out and we find the kindling, which is those people that are passionate about these projects that we can, in ways we can help support, even financially in certain ways. But the incentive grant's completely separate from that.
Yep.
And that's where I think a lot of the confusion comes in. As long as the policies are there and everything on that checklist is submitted and you have documentation, I have the checklist right here for the incentive grants.
And maybe we should tell a little bit about, the incentive grant. If you are awarded, it's not for whatever you want it to be for.
Right.
We have certain guidelines that money is to be used for.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it falls in the whatever the health and wellness, nutrition,
exactly.
towards something. So
an example is Delaware. They have a walking trail around the ball field. They were awarded the grant.
And it's gorgeous.
Yes. I'm very proud of what Kathy has done up there. But that's just an example. The money has to be spent a certain way. It's not just for, whatever you feel like.
Right.
I just want to make that point.
The
Good.
Delaware uses it on a regular basis too. That's the beautiful thing about it. This money can go to something flashy and cool and everything, but if it sits there and it doesn't get used, well, we just wasted a bunch of money. We've got to be smart on, do we have enough community buy-in that if, say, TSET or another grant is like, yes, we believe in this. This is, if you can make this sustainable, or if your community champions can make it sustainable, then by all means, we don't have a problem with that. And a lot of times there's a lot of convincing and a lot of paperwork to do to justify these things. But, shining example of something that got implemented and is being used on a regular basis is Delaware's ball fields. And then going back to, the flint and steel that makes the spark, that's kind of what we really are. I think we're really the spark to get people to bring in the kindling and the firewood and get this roaring fire, the sustainable thing going in the community, like the beautification committee. We don't sponsor anything for the community, the beautification committee anymore, other than that initial $500 and the time that we volunteered to go and do murals and stuff. We still do some volunteer and help power wash and prime buildings and stuff like that for them. But that's how it's supposed to work. That is one good example of just trying to use the grant money to start something that is good and is healthy for our kids and the rest of the community. So anyways, clear as mud on that one, I think.
Yeah, well, I think
I know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
In my
I
head.
think you did a good job explaining it.
I think that's good. Yeah, that is what the TSET Healthy Living Program is for, is to just make our county healthier. That's the whole idea. And it's a good way to take that money from that tobacco settlement, endowment trust, and make it into something positive for our state. And
it's not funded by tax money either. I hear that sometimes. People that are not big fans of grants are like, this is a waste of tax money. This money came from the tobacco industry for the shady things that they did, and it all goes into a big account and they scrape the interest off of it. Yeah. It's not costing anybody. It's just really, if we were very successful, the end goal is to lower insurance costs, lower diabetes and lung cancer and all this other stuff. There's not a single one of us here or watching this that has not been affected by some of these very preventable diseases, if not put off diseases. If somebody has lung cancer and they pass away young, well, we could have prevented that by all the strategies that we use. So anyways,
I think
that good enough for you? we try to make boring stuff halfway fun and engaging.
And like Trista said, we welcome anyone to come in and visit with us.
Please do.
You would be surprised what a few people sitting down and putting their heads together can accomplish. And that's something I've realized, especially in the last year or so. I feel like, you can take one small idea and it can blow up very quickly and make real impactful changes in the community.
Absolutely.
So, I agree.
Come in and visit us. Say hi.
We got a lot of crazy ideas too. If you like one of them, that's what you want to go do, we'll help you out.
Right. We're all for that. So.
Well,
I think that's pretty good. I think
okay. So let's do this. Let's do our wrap up portion.
Yeah.
What our format going forward, we're going to be interviewing other people in the community, doing things, positive things that directly relate to our grants, Trista has her grant, Crystal has another grant, and we try to tie, whenever we have these conversations, we're going to try to tie in what we're talking about to our grants. Well, this is a podcast specifically on TSET, so really the best way to wrap it up is the things that we're doing currently. We're very much advocates for the beautification because that improves walkability. Walkability is part of our physical activity. See how it kind of goes back up the tree to satisfy some of these three areas: our tobacco cessation, physical activity, and nutrition. In nutrition, we have the community garden, which stemmed from another grant. That's something I was going to say. These grants create opportunities, and opportunities create opportunities for other bigger things to happen. And whenever they go in an order, more and more things are capable or possible and become more and more reality. So we're always building to a bigger picture. But like I said, the community garden was started with another grant. It's maintained, because it also benefits TSET. Then we have the garden market, which you and Crystal have basically put together and sustained throughout the years, and it's getting better and better all the time.
Yep.
It's really starting to pick up now. It's kind of slow at the beginning of this year because of the
is.
rain and all that kind of stuff. But on the physical activity side, we've got a lot of plans that we can implement, hopefully going forward with some more walking trails, having them marked and with wayfinding much better. The murals are part of the walking trails. This podcast is going to be Walk to School Day.
Yep.
I'll be honest, I'm very much focused on the kids. Adults, have decided that they're going to have these unhealthy behaviors sometimes or whatever, and that's them. That's fine. I mean, you're free to have how many ever cheeseburgers you want or whatever. I'm a shining example of that. But the kids is where we're going to start breaking a cycle, because we just know better. We know that smoking 30, 40 years ago, they were still smoking in doctor's offices and stuff like that. So as we grow and learn, we'll get better at it. But that's in a nutshell. What else do we do? In the community, we've got the community garden, we've got the garden market, we've got walking trails, walk to school day.
We do we always promote
Cops
the tobacco.
1-800-QUIT now. We've got all kinds of information. We've got some cessation aids like mints, toothpicks, straws, any kind of fidgety thing. We got all kinds of. We said, okay, 1-800-QUIT now. There's My Life, My Quit.
Well, we always do something for the Great American Smokeout.
Great American Smokeout.
I think second or third week in November. So we always have some kind of promotional thing going on then. Right. And but anyway.
If you ever feel the need, this is your time that you wanna make the decision to quit, then come up and see us, and we can help you out with it. We can get you hooked up with some good resources. We're at the 23-minute mark, so we probably ought to wrap this up.
Wrap it up.
So, anyways.
All right. Thanks for tuning in today, because
we went a little long.
Yeah, we did, but we always have a lot to talk about. But thanks for watching us today, and hopefully you learned a little bit more about what the TSET HLP grant does here in Nowata County.
We'll see you later.